a Sapphire Running Zone podcast.
Hi everyone, this is Tim from the Sapphire Running Zone. Welcome to another in our podcast series on fundraising managers who love to run. And today we are joined by Emma up in Ayrshire. Welcome, Emma. Tell us a little bit about your running journey and what you do currently with your charity role.
Hi Tim, lovely to be on your podcast today. Thank you so much for inviting me. So I'm Emma. I'm a senior fundraiser at the Ayrshire Hospice. I have the privilege of supporting incredible people that fundraise for the Ayrshire Hospice through a number of amazing ways, including taking part in a number of events throughout the year, like Edinburgh Marathon, Great Scottish Run, and London Marathon. The Ayrshire Hospice, just to give you a wee overview, provides specialist palliative care and end-of-life care for people aged 16 and over across Ayrshire and Arran with life-limiting illnesses. The hospice itself is based in Ayr. It's a 12-bed inpatient unit. The other services are community care at home and live and well support, emotional support for patients and families as well. And that's just a wee overview of the amazing charity that I work for.
Oh, that's great. I really appreciate that. So you're a runner. What events have you done and what have you got planned?
I think a runner is generous, Tim. If that's the word. I try. So I kind of got the running bug back in January of 2025, where I signed up for the Campbelltown half marathon, which is probably sounds quite random because there's many others that you could do that you don't need to travel 4 hours for. So along the winding roads of Argyll and Bute, the marathon itself was incredible. You got to run along a beach and back again. It was just an extremely just humbling run, really. It was really, really hard, but it was great. And then the bug kind of stayed with me, and I've signed up for another one this year, which is Run the Blades, which will take place in Glasgow.
Good. Very pleased to hear it. So one of the things we're going to focus on today is this whole concept of people signing up for a run themselves, so paying for their own entry and then raising money for a charity. So obviously those guys have not got a target that they have to hit. So for people that aren't too familiar with how the sort of charity space works, there's two types of runners really, what we call own place runners. So these are people who've got their own entry in an event, they bought their own entry, and then runners who get a charity place. So this is where charities buy entries in events and then ask runners to raise a certain amount of money to cover that entry and to generate a little bit extra, which then goes into the charity pot. Now, you've just had an example with London where you've had some runners who ran on your entries, but you also had some runners with their own entries. And those guys raised a very significant amount of money. So just talk us through how that worked in London, then how you looked after those runners, because I think a lot of runners think, well, if I get my own entry, then the charity won't really be interested in me, but it almost couldn't be further from the truth, could it?
No, not at all. The own place runners and the Ayrshire Hospice Spaces runners, the reason that they're doing it is for the cause. They are equally as valued the fact that they were lucky enough to get a ballot space. They must have been absolutely over the moon. Training in general for a run, whether it's a 5K, 10K, half marathon or marathon, is hard depending on your fitness level. And then pairing that with fundraising at the same time, it's finding the time to actually put the effort in for that, to do video blogs, to share the message that you're doing this amazing thing for a charity, as well as doing your long runs and hill sprints and running through driving wind and rain, which we always have in Scotland. So it's the effort that these guys put in, both our own place runners and our charity runners, is absolutely incredible. And our goal here for our own place runners and charity runners is to make them feel seen. We know that the effort they're putting in, we can see it. They need to know how much difference they're making. With own place runner, obviously they don't have a target. So the pressure's off them slightly, because with our charity places, we need to cover that cost. So there is massive, massive benefits for own place running for charities. You are completely erasing that expenditure that we would need to purchase the place. Every single penny that they raise goes directly to supporting the hospice.
So how much do you have to raise every year then to keep the hospice running?
So the hospice costs 8.7 million per year to run. Last year, 4.7 million of that came from charitable donations. So through fundraising, through general donations. So it's a massive, massive chunk that we rely on the community for. And again, that's why it's so important to reduce these costs, so every single penny can directly support the charity.
Yeah, I don't think people realise, particularly in the hospice environment, how much you guys need to raise. I think sometimes there's an assumption that it's all covered by the NHS, it's all government funded. But another misconception is that runners sometimes feel that, what's the point in raising 100 quid? What's the benefit? Is it really worth it? Is it worth the effort of doing that? But it really is, isn't it? And the more people who could do that, the better.
Even if it's £20, that sounds like nothing to maybe an outsider, but for us, if someone just decided to set up Just Giving page, if they're running, let's say, the Troon 10K, we've got the Troon 10K tonight, if they set up Just Giving page right now and raised £20, £20 could provide Kodak photo paper, allowing patients to create memories by having photos taken with their loved ones during their stay. Like, that's just a snippet of what that £20 can do. So it's so important. No matter what they raise, there's no cost to the charity. We're never going to put a minimum amount that you can raise for own place running, because every single penny matters.
With the advent of social media being such a dominant force in fundraising, it is so much easier than you think, isn't it? Getting a fundraising page set up, getting it out to your contacts, you should be able to raise £100 fairly easily these days.
Yeah. We're always at the end of the phone to let them know that we're here, and we can answer any type of question about fundraising. We can offer so many different options of fundraising. If it's creating your own event, if it's doing a raffle, if it's maybe doing a race night, if it's just, how do I get this to the maximum amount of people? We had a gentleman actually cycle from Land's End to John O'Groats, who didn't have any social media, and it was WhatsApp. Just email, WhatsApp, just sending that. This is what I'm doing. Do you think you could support me? I think maybe people, maybe they don't want to ask because the run or their running might just be a hobby. Like for me, it's a hobby. A half marathon, on the other hand, is quite a challenge. But for a seasoned runner, a half marathon or a marathon might not be a particular challenge. So they might not want to set up a page. Well, why would someone support me if I'm just doing what I always do? But that's when people surprise you. It's like, but yeah, you might always do it, but we can see how amazing you are that you're also doing it at the same time as raising money for a cause that the Ayrshire community absolutely need.
It's a lot easier than people think. There is also this perception that if I'm going to do it, I am going to have to raise a lot of money, but that just isn't the case at all, is it?
No, and I think if we can make that as clear as possible to the people that might want to just support and run with their own place, but it's not just about the fundraising, it's about the impact. So it's also about spreading the awareness of the hospice. If someone is new, like a new supporter who would, let's just take an example, Edinburgh Marathon, we've got spaces. If someone wanted to join at their own space, brand new, that's an extra person that we're wearing an Ayrshire Hospice t-shirt that someone might see. They're raising money, it's all over their social media. It isn't just about the money here. It is about running for a meaning and sharing to everyone that they know that the hospice is here for the Ayrshire community.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about two campaigns that you've run. Let's talk first
Yeah.
of all about the airport run in Glasgow. Just
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that and how important it is for you guys to be sort of nominated as an official partner, official charity partner at an event, and then we'll go on and talk about the Great Scottish Run and how you helped people with their own entries raise money in that one as well. So let's talk about the Glasgow run first.
The Glasgow Prestwick Airport Run the Runway was one of the most unique events that I've ever been a part of. So the airport nominated 3 charities, ourselves, the Ayrshire Hospice, Beatson Cancer Charity, and Doing It for Daniel. So in 2025, this was the second time that they've done it. It was the airport's event. They did all the organisational for it, all the logistics. They recruited all the runners. They stewarded all the runners. We, as a charity, and the other 2 charities, we actually didn't have contact with the runners. So this is where it seemed really, really unique. So the stewardship journey that the airport provided to all of the runners was 1,000 runners in 2024 and 1,400 runners in 2025. Over the 2 years that the airport have ran this event for the 3 causes, the total is £312,000. That's what they raised. It was incredible. So seeing all of those runners come together, raising money for 3 charities at the same time was amazing. In the terminal, you could just feel the buzz. Every charity was there. There was volunteers on the runway, which I very luckily got to be in 2024. Standing in the middle of an airport runway is one of the coolest things that I can say that I've ever done. It was amazing. Not a single cost to either charity. The runway provided all the t-shirts, all the medals, all the chocolates, everything. It was amazing. And to receive that amount of money, so we all got the charities all got 1/3 of their money raised. That makes such an impact. And to get the Ayrshire Hospice out there in front of that many people, and there was obviously quite rightly lots of press around it because it was so unique. We are so lucky to be chosen by the airport, as is Beatson and Doing It for Daniel and 2 other amazing causes. But that amount of money it's phenomenal. It's probably going to be a once in a lifetime thing to run on an airport runway. There was a 10K option and a 5K option, so it also made it accessible for as many as possible. With the promotion of it and the fact that they just took everything at the airport, that is a lot of people to steward at the same time for 3 different causes.
Yeah, that's amazing for you guys to have that number of people running for you and raising that kind of money. That's
Amazing.
tremendous. So what happened to the Great Scottish Run then? That's obviously a different approach. You had direct contact with those runners. How did you get more and more own place runners, people with their own entries? How did you get them signed up to run for you?
To be honest, Tim, in 2025, the participants, they actually just came in naturally. We didn't necessarily do a push on that. We had charity spaces, but they didn't all fill. But for Great Scottish Run, we had 20 runners, and 17 of those runners were own place runners. And
Wow,
I mean,
that's a really unusual split, isn't it?
isn't it? Isn't it? We didn't we didn't necessarily communicate that it was an option either. I think because the Great Scottish Run is the closest run to us probably for a half marathon and a 10K. I do think that it was just people's connection to the hospice, and they just knew that they wanted to run for the hospice, if you know what I mean. I think we've learned from the Great Scottish Run because we know that there's value in this, and if we do make it more obvious that you can just sign up, you don't need to have one of our spaces. But for the Great Scottish Run, it was more about people's why, as to why they signed up, and that means more than anything. But it was just amazing to see the numbers coming in, and you kind of felt like, oh, we do actually have our own spaces, but then you don't want to say that because it's like, oh, but thank you, because it means that we don't, there's no expenditure there. So it's actually, when they sign up with their own place, we make sure that we tell them that now. It's like, thank you so much. You've taken that cost away from us. So it means everything that you've raised is going to go directly to the charity, and that means the world. But again, it's that stewardship is so important. Signing up for any type of event, but in this case, Great Scottish Run, is just, it's incredible. And we always want to create this Ayrshire Hospice community. We are so proud to have people signing up to run for this incredible charity. We want them to get to know each other. We want them to know that we are here for anything that they may need. We weren't actually present in 2025, but we're hoping to be in 2026, because seeing the charity that you're running for when you're crossing that finish line, after, in my experience, it was pretty difficult at times, especially that last kilometre. We just want them to know how amazing they are. And if we can provide that stewardship journey to keep own place runners coming, and really realising what the money they raised is doing. We have this fantastic cafe that's in the hospice that we want everyone that fundraise for the hospice to come and see. We just want them to know, this is what you're fundraising for. This amazing facility that the community relies on so much. If we can get as many people into this hospice as possible to see the difference they're making, then I really think we'll see those numbers improving for own place runners.
Yeah, I think it's good that you tell runners how much they're saving you because they're not running on one of your entries. Because I think a lot of runners still think that charities get their entries free in
Yeah,
events. I don't think they realise that they actually have to pay for them, and
I
in
think
some
so. Yeah.
some races, a lot of money changes hands. How exactly do you sort of look after your runners then? Once they sign up, what should they expect from you?
So we'll always do a welcome email. We'll do our usual touch points, just throughout the journey, depending on when they sign up. Some people sign up the week before, some people sign up 6 months before. It's keeping that regular contact. The opportunity to come and see the hospice. We'll always offer a WhatsApp group. Having that WhatsApp group for people to share their own experiences of their training. The patient stories are so important. It's that impact. A large percentage of our runners do run in memory of someone, of a loved one, which is absolutely incredible. Someone could be going through the hardest time in their life, and they've decided that this is the way that they're going to deal with this, is do an amazing challenge and fundraise for the thing that got them through and got their loved one through as well. As I said, we build fantastic relationships with our supporters. We are doing our job well if they feel that they are getting the best possible stewardship journey and they are supported through sign up until the end, and that we are there to provide any help that they might need. And the reason I love my job so much is to see how happy they are with the amount that they've raised. They're always buzzing and just so happy with what they've achieved. We had people running Colour Dash 2 years ago, and they would run over the line in tears because it meant so much to them. Like, that is what we're doing, and we just want them to know how amazing they are, because their focus is the charity, and our job is to say, well, you did that, you've raised this amount of money, and you are making the difference here.
If we look at your 4 London Marathon runners, because they obviously raised a lot of money, what sort of lessons could those guys give other people that are about to start out on that fundraising journey?
I think it's all about consistency. We had an amazing one of the two own place runners at London Marathon who raised money over the year. They did lots of different things, but the one thing that they were was consistent with it. They did raffles, they did race nights, they did video blogs. It was weekly, and then it kind of ramped up to daily. But the fundraising we would usually see that would come in closer to the event, be on the start line, a selfie on the finish line, sharing the times that they've done it in, sharing some of the examples that I gave you earlier about those small amounts of money, the £20, the £50, the £100, putting that on their social media to say, if you donate this is what you are helping towards. Little bits like that might just struck a chord with someone. Like, right, actually, £20. I'll not have my coffees for the week, and then I can donate £20. But yeah, I think the story, telling your story, photos, videos, those visuals are so important. We offer lots of different fundraising materials as well, but if the supporter is comfortable enough to tell their story as to why they're raising money for the charity, and it might not be in memory, it might not be something that they feel is particularly emotive. It might just be like, this is an amazing charity and I'm going to raise funds because it's in my community. That's enough. And that people will connect to that. That's why I fundraise for the Ayrshire Hospice, because it's in my community and I know how important it is. So it's telling that story as well.
So if somebody's got their own entry in a race, they've never run for charity before, they're sort of thinking about it, but they're not 100% committed because they're worried they won't be able to do it, or they're going to race too much. What would your words of wisdom be to those guys?
I'd be standing with pom-poms. I'd be going, do it, do it. It would be that even the small amounts of money go a long way. And I would reiterate that there is absolutely no pressure on them, because I think people are guilty of putting pressure on themselves and then feeling a little bit disheartened with the amount of money that they raised. But also reiterating the fact that this is costing us absolutely nothing, and anything that they would raise is going to benefit the charity directly. And also just being grateful to them that they're even considering it. Because as I've said, doing these two massive things, training and fundraising at the same time, is difficult. It's really difficult. And I think people don't realise that the support that they could possibly get from their friends and family, and it's really just communicating that they might be a little bit surprised that, you might get £10, £20, you might get £200. But just give it a go, and we'll be here every single step of the way to support you through it.
Yeah, I think the rewards are so great, aren't they? It's an amazing feeling when you complete a race, particularly your first one, but
Yeah.
it's even better when you've raised some money, even if it's £50, £100, whatever it is. That feeling that it's not just about yourself, you've done it for other people. And I think
Yeah.
that's the really key point that you just don't appreciate if you've not done it before. But doing something for others, it helps you massively through your training as well, doesn't it? That it's not just about you, you're doing this for other people.
Yeah, it's that motivation, isn't it? If you can run for yourself, and you can maybe skip a training run during the week, but if you're running for a cause, it's just got a different meaning about it, and it gets you through those hard days. When I was speaking with the London Marathon runners, and the weather here over the past 3 months, it has been awful. And I just remembered I was messaging them and I was phoning them and just saying, I am with you. Like, I am really with you. I know this must be so tough. And one of their videos was pure emotion, actually, because of how hard it was. I think it was a 24-kilometer run that one of our runners had to do, and it's just quite a nice day now, but it was hideous. It was just hail, rain, wind on repeat. So it's making them feel seen as well. That we totally understand, and from a runner's point of view as well, I understand it is really hard at times when your motivation's low. And that's why these wee touch points with supporter stories, patient stories, just give you that little bit of lift that you need to keep going.
Great stuff. Look, Emma, I really appreciate that. I think you've definitely got across to people how important it is to just do whatever they can to raise something for a charity that's really close to their heart. I think that's so important. So I really appreciate your time, and look forward to speaking to you when you've done your next half.
Thanks, Tim. I'll let you know how I get on. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate talking to you.
Thanks for listening to this Sapphire Running Zone podcast. Keep checking back as we have lots more podcasts coming soon.